Hi campers, welcome back to another episode of In the Kitchen with me, Apple Brown Betty. And today, I, Apple Brown Betty, will make for you Apple Brown Betty! That's right! Mind blown. I am going to make for you my signature dessert. Well, it's not my signature dessert because I don't make it that often, but it is a dessert that was named after me long before I was ever even a thought in my head. So, Apple Brown Betty is a very classic dessert, and it's very similar to an apple crisp. In fact, most people think it's kind of the same. There's a little semantics in whether you use breadcrumbs or flour versus oats and graham crackers and stuff like that. But any way you look at it, it's a delicious dessert. Apples baked with a crumbly, delicious crust. And I'm very excited to make it for you today. Let's go over what you need. You're going to need about 5 medium apples, a 1/4 cup of orange juice, 3/4 cups all-purpose flour, 3/4 cups sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, just a pinch of salt, and a 1/2 cup of butter. That's 1 stick. Okay, so now today I'm using Granny Smith apples. It's actually not my favorite apple. I do like tart apples. It's a little too tart to eat, but it's really great for baking because it is very hearty, it's dense, it's tart, so you're gonna get that sweet and tart sour flavor out of it. My mother used to just buy these and eat them all the time, and it's one way to keep us from eating the apples because I never like these to just eat raw. You can use whatever tart sort of apple that you want, just don't use red delicious apples because those apples are just terrible. I know that they're probably the most popular apple in the US because I see them everywhere. However, to me, they really have no redeeming qualities at all, other than they're very pretty. I like a nice, tart, crisp apple. Okay, so let's start peeling and slicing up those apples. But first, I have my orange juice here that I'm just gonna put in the bowl, and as I slice these apples up, I'm going to put them in the orange juice and toss them around, and that's going to keep them from discoloring. It's also gonna add a nice, zesty, citrusy flavor to it. So, let me bring this bowl over here to my scraps in, and this is honestly the worst part of it. Just peeling apples. Now, you don't really have to be super picky about getting all of the peel off. As long as you wash your apples good, a little bit of apple peel in there is not gonna harm you, and it's probably got some good nutritional value as well. So I'm gonna cut it in half, and then cut it in half again. And then just remove the core, like that, and then just slice them up. Who said cooking's not glamorous? Oops. Done. Ooh, it's a lot of apples. Make sure that you stir it and you get it all coated with the orange juice. Okay, now that my apples are all sliced and peeled and coated in the orange juice, I'm going to set this aside and we're gonna get started on the crumbly topping. So, I have my sugar and my flour, my cinnamon with my dash of salt. Just mix all your dry ingredients up in here. You can use this handy pastry blender that I have to mix this up until it's nice and mixed. And then I'm going to cut in my butter. Okay, I've got my butter in here and I need to just toss that around, and I'm going to use this handy dandy pastry blender and just cut into the butter. Just going to get this to where it resembles like a coarse crumb. And every once in a while, you're gonna have to push your butter back through. These tools are very handy, but you know, you could pulse it in a food processor, I guess. You could use a fork. But these things are pretty much designed specifically for this kind of task. This recipe's going to give you a workout. Now, interesting story. I actually got my name, Apple Brown Betty, from a friend of mine in DC. It was a coworker actually, and we were sitting around drinking one day at the bar, and he was like, you know, if you ever did drag, your name should be Apple Brown Betty. And I was like, huh, it's a cute name, but why? And at the time, I was doing a lot of baking. I actually had a little catering business on the side called Dessert First, where I specialized in cakes and pies and cookies and such. So, and being from Atlanta too, he was like, well, you're a baker, you're Southern, Apple Brown Betty. Perfect name. So later on, while I was hosting karaoke at the bar that I was running as Apple Brown Betty, my twin brother would come visit every so often. And we would dress him up as Apple Brown Betty's twin sister, Cherry Pie. And that is how the Sugar Baker twins were born. Alright, so I've got this nice and good, and you can see it's very crumbly, well mixed together and crumbled. And that's our topping. Now all we have to do is put it together. So I have this classic pie dish that I'm going to make it in. And the first thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to spray it with a little cooking spray. Just a little bit goes a long way. So now it's really simple. All you do is you put your apples in the dish. Spread those around a little bit. Oops, one jumped out. And then just top it with this crumble topping. And you want to just get this all over the apples. Pull that out. Just spread it around. Now this is going to bake and it's going to cook all down. The juices are going to come up. It's going to be delicious. And then we just pop this into a 375-degree oven for about 45 minutes. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. My kitchen is filled with the smell of baking apples. It smells so good. I think it's ready. Oh, would you look at that? Look at that. Oh, all bubbly and crisp and delicious. You are looking at one hot, juicy, delicious Apple Brown Betty. This one's not too bad either, I'm sure. Ooh-wee, I can't wait to dig into this. Apple Brown Betty is best served warm with a scoop of ice cream. Now I have some salted caramel ice cream because, I don't know, I just felt like salted caramel with Apple Brown Betty, that sounded like a good combination, so. Ooh. Hot. They say you are what you eat, and I don't know, maybe that's taking it too far. But I'll tell you one thing, this Apple Brown Betty is delicious. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the recipe. We'll see you next time on In the Kitchen.